50% population, UAE nationals. Language is a big, big problem. So what is the solution? Can we put the... So that's the thing that we go back, please. Let me just explain quickly. So that's really the burqa on her face, and this is exactly the whole gist of my conversation. How to create an industry here by mixing those two elements, which I'm going to mention now. Next. So we spoke about languages, we didn't talk about challenges. Challenges. So the two things that we need to mix in the Mullinex machine to create a fresh industry that can be so vibrant and can be so lucrative to the 360 million people in the world would be films that can travel. Really simple. And I hate to admit this, but honestly, ladies and gentlemen, English has to be the language. As much as we want to make Arab cinema, they have to be mixed. So I'll give you an example now. I'm working as a culture consultant on a horror flick. So excited. In 3 weeks, we are beginning to shoot with a famous Hollywood director. I can't announce it. I think it's like, I signed a contract or something here. Anyway, he is a well-known director. I'm so honored to work with him. This is a lot of ground training. And the film is a horror flick. And the main actress is Egyptian. But 70%, you know what they did? They made the two couple who are in the film coming from the States. It's an excuse so they can speak in English. It's an excuse so they can sell with them, which is a brilliant platform. But you will see an Arab guy in Ghazal, you will see the abaya, you will see the book that was in a very horror, it's a wonderful plot. But what I'm trying to say is that because of the universal language and the English being there, you can see a lot of Arabic aesthetics, a lot of Arabic mannerism in the film. It will be exotic, because I think it's the first Arabic horror film that would be of very high production value and would have that, mystery behind it. It always contrasts behind that body. For God's sake, clothes and pajamas. What do you think is behind that body? I get this question a lot. I was asked to today, and when I started, he's like, it's always been behind my mind. I'll tell you. And again, going off topic here, but I want us to get some of the local insight as well today. Behind the abaya, ladies and gentlemen, is something what I call is a perfect excuse to be lazy. For me personally, is I can wear pajamas. I'm actually wearing my tracking, suit out, from the gym. He doesn't have time, I have to rush. So it's an excellent excuse to put it on and get out there. But also, it is our identity. There's a lot of respect. There's a lot of beauty to it. There's a lot of grace. And I'm very proud to be local and to embrace my culture. Now, if you ask me a controversial question, would it exist 60 years from now? I don't think so. That's my personal view. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But personally, I don't think so. Especially if we're 2% in 2020. Okay, because then it'd be like, that's a bit creepy. But going back to the film, talking about creepy, which brings me to the next topic, please. So I'm going to set up a company, which I already did actually 5 years ago, and we used to make films. Next slide. Fantastic. I'm going to set up a company, my second company, that will specifically be an independent company, far away from governmental issues, far away from bureaucracy, far away from all this stuff. Complete freedom to create commercial films. Yeah, you can curse me and say, I want to create popcorn movies, why not? It creates a film economy, it boosts, creates jobs, it's very interesting. But specifically in the horror genre, and in the thriller genre, but very low budget films. So one thing that I've learned from a lot of research is that it has to be English to travel, so you can penetrate all the Arabs in the world, believe it or not, because if I do a Tunisian film, nobody else would understand it, or Algerian, or, except for Egypt, that's a specific market for itself. But for Arabs to appreciate the aesthetic value of Arabs, you have to speak with them in English. How crazy is that? But that's the truth, that's the sad truth. But to make the films unique, what we need to do is to film them in the Middle East. And this is my proposal, is let's create an infrastructure here with training, education, getting people like the American Hollywood director or people from our wonderful masters from Egypt or even from Lebanon to train our people, expats and locals together, to be on film set. So education is super key. We need to start having filmmaking schools here. Film is one of the biggest marketing giant tools a nation can have. You can be your country's ambassador if you're a filmmaker. And it doesn't matter what film it is. It doesn't matter if it's taboo or controversial. It's a reflection of that area. And if I'm going to make a film here in Dubai or the UAE per se, there's so many factors that are fascinating. 220 nationalities. So you can make a cosmopolitan film. A 15-minute drive, you have the beach. 15-minute drive, you have the mountains. Another 15-minute drive, you have crazy people. But you have a lot of mixture and eclectic and a variety of things that can make this such a wonderful place for business, show business, specifically film. So attract a lot of international producers to come and spend their money here, but that can only happen after you have an infrastructure. So right now, if you ask me, where are we with our film industry in the UAE? 7 years ago, when I was studying Toronto film, the higher education told me, "Are you sure you want to do film? Because when you come back, you're not going to get a job." I said, "That's fine, because I want to come and pioneer." But fine, it's your problem. So they gave us a scholarship. They take care of us here, so that's pretty nice. I went there and got an education. Within those years, I said it before, I was 7. No, that's not. Within those years, the Dubai International Film Festival started. Then Abu Dhabi Film Festival started. Then the Bachelor Festival started. Then Abu Dhabi was one of the best festivals. I'm telling you, such an awesome festival. And then Emergence started, which is a huge company. I mean, it's a merge with Participant Media. It's a big company all around the world. They have deals with Summit and whatnot. Anyway, and then you have Emirates Foundation and these different brands, Shasha brands, and Qasas, and there's so many different film. All years film. There's a lot of film awareness and consciousness taking place in the country, and that's great. So when I came back, I'm thinking, wow, there's a whole boom of filmmaking happening. And last year or 3 years ago, we had a couple of our first feature films. Nawaf Janahi did his first film in a circle. Ali Mustafa's film, who watched it? City of Life? Yeah. He did his first film, and I'm telling you, anyone who does a film under the age of 30 deserves a Nobel Peace Award. Because it's crazy to do a film with no infrastructure. He did it, and so did Nawaf. I'm shooting mine next year. So now, slowly, we are hearing that this country is producing one feature film per year. Imagine how many years it will take to catch up with India. But guess what? Most Indians live here, so maybe we will. And I love India. I just saw a film there. It was awesome. God, my brain, that breast jumping, I can't think. So, yes. So we have all the film initiatives, the government's interested, Qatar's government interested. Abu Dhabi put $1 billion, I got this from the news, the national, and they, to inject in filmmaking. And what they mean by inject, they don't mean just to attract international producers and to shoot here, but also to grow an indigenous filmmaking scene. Support the locals and expats like Ashraf Puri, who I would like to applaud. He's sponsoring this with other sponsors today, and he's done his first CGI film in the country. And there's a lot of short films by some incredible artists that we never get to see their work. Time, but let's recap quickly. So language, if we tackle that, we penetrate different markets. 2, creating an infrastructure and attracting producers from overseas. But why will they come here? Everyone's going to Morocco, everyone's going to Egypt, like everyone's going to any other places. Why do you think, thank you. Why do you think, actually 2 slides before, why do you think people have things, it's not still ready for me to come? If I was a producer from Canada and I wanted to shoot in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, what are the reasons? Let's parse it. You give me your answers. What do you think would stop me from shooting at home? Someone said expensive? Yes, it's very expensive. Do you try booking a hotel in Dubai these days? Jeez. What else? And imagine putting 100 crew member.
Censorship.
Did you say red tape? Yes, censorship. They just love me there. What else?
They need a visa.
Oh. How many Canadians in this room? Yes, you do. Just like all the other people. Well, we wanted more things. Anybody else? Latin?
Scenery.
Well, they shoot in Morocco. I don't know about scenery, but green screen probably works. Yes. So, very good answers, guys. It's very expensive. We don't have tax rebate, so they need to create some incentive to attract producers to shoot here. Number 2 was red tape, which is censorship, and that's a huge problem. And we are very confused. I'm very confused. I get very, very confused every single year. We go to some festivals. Have you been to the local festivals? Yeah? There's zero censorship. Now check this out. Just think about this idea. There's zero censorship in all the films that come to this region in the UAE. Last year, Dubai International Festival had over 150 films, not one cut, which is brilliant because you are respecting the integrity of the artist. Okay, great. But if I had to submit a script, and I have in the past, it always gets butchered. Why? Because in the local, there's a bit of a double standard going on. I don't think I could blame anyone at this stage because it's still early, but if they still keep doing this in 7 years, I'm going to the streets. Because it's really not good for the industry. We need to speak our hearts and reflect what's out there. But there is progress. I have created 3 films, and all 3 of them are controversial in a way that reflect, stories of Emirati women per se in the country. And the funny part is, this is the irony in this subject. The first one got rejected, so I shot it anyway. And after filming it, the same person who rejected it gave me an award for it. I'm like, okay. So this is another example, not because it's his mistake. If I take a script and I read one paragraph of a movie script to you, it will seem so graphic and so disgusting. If I show you how 2 animals copulate on a script, let's say it's for like the national, in a Nat Geo. If you read that on script, you're like, they're going to shoot this? But if you see it on screen, you won't mind it at all. So anything that's written on paper is way heavier than anything that you see on screen. So I think they need to also hire people who have script savvy awareness, and they know how to read scripts and they can understand that, and be more tolerant to script writing. So now we need to lift up the red tape. We need to come up with amazing incentives to attract producers. We need to have films that can travel with languages, and we need to create an infrastructure. How many decades do we need? I think it's going to happen soon. I'm very optimistic. And so yes, education, negative PR for the country, self-censorship, we all do that. Let me tell you something. Someone said, I've never seen a French kiss in a Tunisian film. And I said, why? Is that against the law? He's like, no, it's self-censorship. And I think we do that as well. Have you ever seen a French kiss in an adult movie? It would shock you, right? And I think that would never happen because it's a self-censorship process. There's nothing against it in the law. And I'm not for or against, I'm just giving you facts. When I made my film about how a local woman dates in secret, by the way, it's playing in the cinema right now. Support my community. It's at the showroom cinema. It's called Once. And I was sitting next to an Lebanese film critic, and there was a love scene, very intimate scene in the room. And the girl and the boy are like flirting, oh, you're so pretty, mother, shoe, or whatever, yeah. And they're just holding hands, and their face came really close. And the guy next to me, the jury member, or whoever he was, film critic, he's like, well, I should post it. It means finally we're going to see a kiss, And I'm like, darn. And in the minute they came close, the doorbell rang in the film. He's like, man, I said, give me another 50 years, maybe. Okay? And that's another challenge, finding women actresses. It's impossible. If they're trained for TV or theater, you need to really train them and get people who can act, need years of experience. But whomever I have, if I meet a 32-year-old Emirati who is slim, X-height, for whatever character I have in mind, it's so difficult, it's so narrow. A quick example is the last film I shot in India. My main actress quit on me 3 days before. Of course, we have no means, nothing, okay? So she quit on me 3 days before. That's a lot of money. That's going to cost me a lot of money because we bought tickets, we had visas, I had my line producers in India waiting for me. I couldn't cancel my whole film because my main character backed away, so I had no choice but to do it, to step in and be the main character. Thank you. Sorry. It was challenging. I would never do it again. I'm not an actress, but I took away the joy from directing. I made sure my dad, please don't quote me. He'd never see the film because it would really hurt him. But it was either feeling or 250,000 euros. Which I had to return. To a sponsor, which I already spent. So there was no way I could have done that, and I had to save the film. And it won first prize, so I guess it was worth it. So that's just to give you a snippet of some ideas that we can explore to create a film industry in this region. And we are a very tolerant culture. We have all these different races and religions living in peace in the UAE, and that's why I think it will be very attractive to create such incentives and come and shoot here. So I think, I have 3 more minutes, or am I done? Next. Yeah, we spoke about that next. Film production. Is that about okay. So talking about the private film fund, well, you can. It's good. It comes up. And it's actually, it's a beautiful language, the Arabic language. We have all these challenging letters that you get to see, like, I'm going on topic here, but let me give you the most challenging Arabic word in my opinion, and I'll tell you why I'm talking about language very soon, is the word "thought." You say it 5 times, I promise you 500 terms, any extra right now. Basically, it means frog. It's very onomatopoeic. It sounds like the animal itself, and has 2 extremely challenging letters. Now, you said something that's very interesting, sir. You said that why Egypt couldn't be the next big hub where it travels around the world, where Indians can watch Egyptian films, where Taiwanese and Koreans can watch Egyptian films. Like today, if you ask someone from anywhere in the world, they would recognize Tom Cruise and whatnot, but they wouldn't know Yusuf Jan, well maybe Yusuf Jan, but they wouldn't know the other ones that we do know. Why? It's mainly due to one thing. There's no such thing as Arab cinema. There's Egyptian cinema. And I'm talking purely in the commerce point of view. That's not mixed independent filmmaking. That's a whole different topic. But I will get into that. Good. Arab cinema, the main reason is language. Have you ever gone to Tunisia or Algeria? Anyone from there? Oh, you are? Can you please, you speak Arabic, right? Or your language, right? Can you give me the toughest line in your language and I'll try to think or pretend to know what it is? Please speak out loud.
You want Italian, French, and Turkish in the sentence?
Oh, no, just your language, sir. I mean, that would be enough challenging for me. Yes. Okay, so it's a mixture of Italian? French?
Turkish?
Okay.
Arabic?
Okay, but just the Arabic. يعني كلام عادي عربي لغة عادية. سقط الكرامة. Okay. سقط الكرامة. If I heard this immediately, I would understand it. That's what I'm saying. Arabs from different regions don't understand each other 100%. But all Arabs, I think, put together can understand Egyptian cinema. Okay, so there is no such thing as Arab cinema. Today, I watched a Moroccan film. I would look at the subtitling, and it's the same language. It's Arabic. Isn't that interesting? It's very, for me, I find that mind-boggling. But English, on the other hand, travels the world, no problems. Yes, the accent might change, blah, 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 but, you have the same language that unites everyone. Hence, dollar, money. When language travels in a film, you penetrate different markets around the world, you can export those films all around the world, hence, you can open different ancillaries and territories, and that's when they say a movie travels. So Hollywood has this huge muscle and a marketing giant called film, which they can export their culture, their mannerism, and you can see the way I speak is because of the influence of the Hollywoodism. And therefore, that has traveled all around the globe, and we have, taken some of it, got rid of the other stuff. Doesn't matter what you do with it, but we all speak English due to the, it's international language, and Hollywood is right now the most profit-based industry. It's probably the 3rd producing films per year. India produces, if I'm not mistaken, Egypt produces 400 per year films. India does around 1,000 plus every other 2 hours. and Hollywood much, much less. How many of you know how many Arabs exist in the world, approximately?
400 million.
220 million, I hope. Okay. 250 million, get closer. Come on, anyone else?
400.
Option. 350, you said 350. 350. Can we go up?
400.
400, no. You're too expensive. It's 360, approximately 360 million Arabs in the world. And what I'm trying to say here is that if we collectively think, again, this is just my theory, it's just an idea, and that's what drives me, been driving for the last 10 years, is that if we gear our muscles together, we can create Arab cinema. And not necessarily, this is the irony in our language. I'll tell you what, it's madness, the mad idea I have. is something very simple. I walked today to one of the Emirates and I met someone who I've never seen in my life, who looked at me, or maybe I have, I don't remember, but he said, look at me, look, you're from Facebook. Oh, thank you very much, I was on Facebook. And I just laughed, and he was, and he's like, oh, so nice to see you. Three-dimensional, yes. So I walked in the elevator and he goes, and he looks back to me, and one idea crossed my mind. He was a local, he was an Arab, he was wearing a dal, just like, you know, 2 people here, 3? That's what your population? The aliens have arrived. By the way, again off topic, in 2020 there will be 2% of nationals living in this country. Be nice to us. Okay? So going back to the thing that prompted that spark is that I'm talking to my fellow citizen, my fellow local guy, and he spoke to me in the English language. And, you know, without even thinking, I just replied back in English. It was a normal thing to do. My father started to do that, screaming me out. You know, he called me yesterday when the whole big news of Egypt. He's like, did you hear that? I'm like, oh, man. He's talking in English to me. And this is a crisis. It's an identity crisis. And I think it's more happening to our generation more than to my parents, obviously. And it's going to happen more and more and more generations to come. So what I'm trying to say is that most Arabs in the world obviously speak English. If you go to Italy today, or anywhere else, it's very difficult to communicate in English because everybody speaks Italian, which is great, you learn the language, right? But if you're here, how many expats have been here for the last 15 years and they can't say like one sentence in Arabic? Yeah, like admit. Yeah. Shame. But no, it's not your fault because you speak English and nobody really tries. But if you go to Saudi, you'll learn Arabic really fast. And it makes more logistical sense. And the UK has a good relationship with the US as well for distribution and sales agents. So we don't have one proper sales agent in the country. Actually, I don't think we have a sales agent in the country at the moment. If you want to hear about what's going on set, you can all follow me on Twitter at Nayla Al Khaja. You can follow me, and then I will tweet everything about the film and who's doing what, and the time of when the film's going to come out. Let me think of one last final thought that I could leave you with. That's not even film related, but perhaps the thing that inspired me the most to be who I am today is pretty much being at peace with myself. When I was at 6, I think, or 7, I had a huge banner behind my bed that says, believe in yourself to the depth of your being. And this thing really, I read it every day, and there's a continuation which I've forgotten, of course. But there's, that's one thing. And then my mother, I think. My mom is one of those very quirky, strong, persistent, annoyingly persistent women who does what she wants, and she does it. She's result-oriented. I love that about her. She's feisty. So is my dad. So I have that from both sides. I think my mom's more artistic, my dad's more business-oriented. But check this out. On Mother's Day, and I want to leave you this thought, she gave me a gift. And when I opened the box, you think it's an earring. I'm supposed to get really good fashion. I thought it was an earring or something that's more that I could hold and remember. But she gave me something that I guess to her mind was symbolic, but it creeped me out. She gave me my umbilical cord. Please do not eat after this. Okay, and then she made, and I still have this, really amazing. And she made 2 replicas of my, what do you call them? The mold. Your teeth, yeah, and her teeth, and she put them together. And I'm like, that's supposed to be nice. And I'm like, wow, her sense of romance is amazing. But I think I get a bit of that quirkiness from my mother, a bit of that, result and aggressiveness, I think, from dad. So what I'm saying is that there's a lot of me that's very creative, and I love directing. There's a lot of me that's business oriented, and I love producing. But this is a battle I have with myself. Am I a producer or am I a director? And in the end, it doesn't really matter. What I really want to do is look at this region and see that we can create and produce feature films here that can travel overseas and make us, hopefully, look interesting. Not bad, not good, just interesting. And clear a lot of the misconceptions that we have. Because I really believe in the next generation, and the current, of course, of the people that live in this country, and specifically also the Arabs. It's very interesting how we are developing with this country. I mean, in 37 years, this whole city, the infrastructure came out like one big botox went to it, So I think filmmaking here has huge, massive potential. I really don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it.